friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we discuss manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media. Agents everywhere, how Russian propaganda prepares the country to hunt its own. In the new episode of his program, Vladimir Solovyov, the main television voice of Russian power, unfolds before the viewer's eyes a scenario of an almost classic internal mobilization. Not against Ukraine or even against the West, but against the Russians themselves. The program's theme is the sabotage war allegedly being prepared against Russia. The main thesis: without agents, sabotage is impossible, meaning the enemies are already among us. What follows is an expanded theory. Anyone with connections to the West, a child studying in London, an apartment in Italy, an account in a European bank, is a potential traitor who can be recruited by NATO intelligence services. From this, a chain of events is built. The West is pressuring, Russia must cleanse itself. A war of extermination has been declared against us. To the domestic audience, this seems like a patriotic warning. To the outside observer, it's an ideological document, a programmatic justification for a new wave of purges and suspicions within Russia. 1. A changing enemy from the external to the internal front. Over the 2 years of full-scale war, Kremlin propaganda has noticeably evolved. Initially, the enemy was Ukraine. Then it was the collective West. Now, judging by Solovyov's latest speeches, the enemy has shifted inward. The enemy is people with a past that intersects with the outside world. The image of a vulnerable official who fears for a child caught with drugs at a British school and is therefore ready to disrupt ammunition production is not a journalistic fantasy, but an ideological premise. It makes anyone who has ever lived in an open system, who has spoken foreign languages, travelled abroad, studied at a university in the West, or had business partners or friends outside of Russia, a suspicious person. In the 1930s, this was called social origin. Today, it's called vulnerability to recruitment. The essence is the same. The lack of complete isolation is equated with disloyalty. 2. History as an alibi for suspicion. To legitimize this system of suspicion, Solovyov turns to history, from Peter the Great to Nicholas II. Peter beat his son for his connections with the West. Nicholas was betrayed by nobles tied to Europe, and a modern official, therefore, must sever ties with Western ties to avoid repeating the empire's fate. This is how a new version of the Russian historical myth is constructed. All of Russia's troubles are due to foreign influence. All defeats are due to Western temptations. All reforms are due to agents in its entourage. This historical montage replaces state responsibility with suspicion of society. The problems aren't corruption or incompetence, but rather the fact that someone's daughter went to Oxford. So where are we in this situation? Don't misunderstand, a war of annihilation has been declared against us, and the West is counting on this internal sabotage. I'm more than certain. So this question will have to be answered as well. You asked a very good question yesterday in the program. You said, sometimes I can't understand the logic. Was it all correct? Remenovich, if you can't understand the logic, look for material gain or some kind of intent. I'm just thinking, Peter the Great sent boyars' children to study in the West. The entire Russian nobility was swindled in all wars throughout all centuries. The southern coast of France was essentially Russian. During the wars, a significant number of Russian generals and nobles had not only direct relatives, but also the most ruthless connections. Who betrayed Nicholas II? The generals? The nobles who were directly tied to the West? Don't worry, they were all tied to the West. Even Nicholas II's cousin George V betrayed him. 3. A new form of loyalty. Suspicion as a virtue. In Solovyov's monologue, one can hear not just paranoia, but a plan to redefine normality. He offers the audience a simple criterion. If a person has contacts, family, education, and travel, they are vulnerable. If they live exclusively within Russia and have no foreign connections, they are reliable. This isn't a discussion of espionage, it's a project of social isolation. It doesn't matter whether there is evidence of sabotage. What matters is that everything foreign is associated with betrayal. Thus, in a society where the economy is collapsing and the elite is losing confidence, a new moral hierarchy is being created. Not those who are competent, but those who are clean from the West are trustworthy. This is a direct continuation of the old Soviet tradition, where outward secrecy was declared a virtue. 4. The European context, what this monologue teaches us. It's important for Europe to understand this rhetoric isn't about the West, it's about Russia. When state television insists that all ties with the world are potential treason, it's not an attack on NATO, but a capitulation to its own fear. It's an admission that Moscow no longer believes in society's ability to be open and patriotic. But this logic also has an external dimension. It prepares the ground for a new level of confrontation. After all, if everything connected to Europe is an agent, then any communication with the West becomes a suspicious act. You've been on the program Empire of Lies. See you soon.